Yes, yes, I do.
My name is Tiffany Jones Erby. I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana. I grew up in Ripley, Mississippi, and I guess for the past 26, 28 years, I've lived here in New Albany. I work at Union County Sheriff's Department. I am the supervisor or communications supervisor for the Union County Sheriff's Department's dispatchers and 911 dispatchers. Well, my mother was originally is from Ripley, and my great grandfather was from Louisiana,
Okay.
and they just you know, moved to Mississippi, but we just went back. They just went back and forth, and then they just all kind of migrated to Mississippi.
How old were you when you moved here?
About when I was moved to Mississippi.
Well, yeah,
Or,
yeah.
Maybe 6, 8 weeks old.
Oh, okay, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever live in New Orleans?
No.
Okay.
No.
You've always been.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I went to school at Ripley High School,
Okay.
and I played basketball and ran track. And my favorite sport, I guess you could say, is swimming. I've been swimming since I was 2 years old, so that's my favorite sport or pastime. But I was a lifeguard when I was a teenager.
Where were you a lifeguard?
In Ripley. They had at that time the schools. I mean, they had 2 pools because they were still segregated. They were integrated. So I was a lifeguard. I can't say that I was the first African American lifeguard, but during that time I was. I think there may have been a lady a few years older than me that may have been a lifeguard, but I was. If it was another one, it was just the 2 of us at some point in time.
Are there still pools there?
No, they have one at the Wellness Center.
Okay, but the city pools are
No.
closed?
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
So what year did you graduate from?
High school, 1986.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then in '89, well, I went to Rusk College, and it was located in Holly Springs, Mississippi. And I was really undecided as what I wanted to do as far as a career goes. And I was taking night classes, and they were offering courses in elementary education, so that's where I started. And I was home from Christmas break, and the sheriff of Tippah County at that time had never had a secretary, and he had put in his budget for a secretary. And he and his chief deputy came to my house and spoke to my parents, saying they wanted to see me about something, and I thought, well, I haven't done anything wrong. But it ended up I went to school with one of the sheriff's at that time's daughter, and he said, Sandra, I need somebody that's a secretary and that might be good in this line of work. And she said, well, I don't know, Daddy. So she went and got our high school annual out and started looking through, and she said, well, I don't know what Tiffany Jones is doing right now, but she might be like that line of work. So my dad said, well, Tiff, you're undecided what you want to do. Try this, and and see, and then we'll go with the next term. If he's elected, re-elected, not knowing. And he said maybe by then you'll know what you want to do with college and stuff. So I started in '89, and I worked for 2 different sheriffs there. And I was out of law enforcement, and then I moved here to New Albany, and they had just moved 911 into the sheriff's department in where it's located now, and they were going to be hiring some 911 operators, and so that's when I started at the sheriff's department here in December of '99. Then I think I was 2004, May of 2004, I became the TAC officer, which is terminal agency coordinator or dispatch supervisor. So that's been my title since then.
Explain what that means.
Well, like I said, terminal agency coordinator, it mainly has to do with a certain computer that we have. Any agency that has a National Crime Information Center's computer, where we run tags, driver's license, and a stolen merchandise if it has a VIN or serial number, or enter missing and wanted people. Well, that has to be maintained. The files have to be maintained, and you have to deal with system security. The dispatchers have to be trained and certified and tested on it, and that's where that title really comes in. But dispatchers also, have to be certified with the state as a telecommunicator or a dispatcher. So it's the same thing as a communications or dispatch supervisor, but mainly dealing with that particular piece of equipment is where that title, I think, originated in the beginning.
The thing
That
that
terminal
connects
agency.
everybody in the United States, I guess. Like,
Yes,
as
well,
far as
anybody that
information.
has that particular computer
Mhm.
has to have a TAC officer.
Okay. Okay.
And that's where the files, you have to update the files every month, because a lot of times people will retrieve or find their merchandise themselves that they have reported to us as stolen, and we not know about it. And so we have to keep our communications line open with the person who has made the report of their merchandise being stolen.
Correct me, because I'm totally just
Okay.
assuming this, but this system that you maintain and like supervise,
Mhm.
this is what, if there's like a person on the run
That's
and
right.
they've murdered 7 people in California and they
Mhm.
come through and somebody
Mhm.
calls in their tag, this is the system that connects you to
Right, that's right.
everywhere.
That's right. So if, like you're saying, and it can be that way, if we have a subject that's, we have entered as wanted, well, all their identifiers and whether it's scars, marks, tattoos, anything that we have, all that is pertinent information is entered into the system as them, when we enter them as wanted. And say they do show up in California, they run the subject's name and date of birth, then it's going to generate a hit and let that agency there know that that subject is wanted by our agency, and then they can contact us. At the same time, like you said, if you run a tag though, if that subject was entered, when we entered that subject and we had the vehicle information that he was in, then that vehicle information is additional information that can be entered in there also. And so if we ran that tag or VIN number, then it would generate a hit and it would be connecting that person to this vehicle. Now, that's not to say that he would still be in the vehicle, but we would retrieve the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying the vehicle is stolen, it might be his vehicle.
That
But
connects.
it's connected with it
Yeah.
some kind of way.
Because I always think it's so interesting when you read about how, like, especially on the interstate, they'll stop some car and it's, full of Lord knows what, and they're from wherever, they finally
That's
caught
right.
these people, and
Yes.
I guess
Yes.
it's because of that information that's
Yes.
shared.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Now, a lot of stuff, we have a lot of stuff that comes through I-22, the interstate, nowadays that's, is not, people aren't entered as wanted, or the vehicle's not entered as stolen, but, we might retrieve a lot of stuff off of just routine traffic stop or something like that.
Speeding tickets and stuff like
Yes.
that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then, we stop them there, and they may act a little different or uncomfortable or something, and they may search the vehicle and retrieve a whole lot of stuff, and we have there.
I bet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When was this system? How long have we had this system?
Oh my goodness!
And by I mean
I don't know.
everybody.
I don't know if it happened in the 70s when they started getting. I can't say as far as Union County. When I was at Tippah County, like I said, I started in '89, and they already had it. Of course, back then it was very, very slow compared to when I came to Union County, and they had an actual format set up. You know, it's a breeze compared to what I learned, you know, in the old system and stuff. I don't know. I would say probably the 70s when it started. Like there again, I can't say exactly when Union County first got theirs. I wasn't here. And like I said, I started in '89, and we already had the NCIC machine then. Now that's just one piece of equipment I was talking about there.
Yeah.
As far as where the title kind of originates for, as far as TAC officer goes.
Do you listen to any crime podcasts?
Not much. I mean, I guess because you know, that's pretty much my life. You know, I don't listen to anything if I don't have to.
Yeah.
You know.
You hear enough.
I hear, yes, that's right, that's right, that's right.
I want to back up a little bit.
Okay.
First of all, I wanted to go back to what led you to go to Rusk College?
Well, it was close. A lot of my family members on my mother's side attended Rusk College. My mother didn't. She attended Tougaloo. My dad was from New York, but I had my uncle and a lot of even my great uncle went there, and if I recall right, he played football there. So I just had a lot of relatives there, and there again, I was undecided what I was going to do, a gentleman, Mr. F.L. Spite, was a professor there. He was at my home, musician at my home church. I grew up around the corner from him and stuff. He was a family member, and then he came by, I guess, recruiting one day, and just told my parents, said, well, if Tiff doesn't know what she wants to do, she can always come and Rust or take night classes and stuff. So that's what I.
So you were taking night classes there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they had a satellite there in Ripley.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So that's how I started.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Do they still have that?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
And then I wanted to ask you about your classmate who flipped through the yearbook and came upon you.
Uh-huh. I just saw her last April at a birthday party, a mutual friend's birthday party, and not knowing that she was going to be there. And when I saw her, I said, I want you to know how grateful I am, and it was just perfect timing in the Lord's way of speaking through her to find me. I said, because this has been my career. I've been in this about 32 years now.
Yeah, that's not a career that you think about.
No.
It's not.
And so I just, I told her, I said, I don't even know if you remember. Her name's Sandra Meeks. And I said, I don't even know if you remember your dad asking or how that transpired. But I thanked her for it and told her that, that I was still in it. It was because of, her.
Well, I wonder what it was about you that she thought, oh, she'd be good for this.
I don't know. I don't know.
What are the qualities that it takes to do that? To do your job?
Well, I'd say patience, being able to deal with the public, taking a lot of backlash. It's not for everybody. Dispatching is not for everybody. I say that all the time. It's very demanding. You have to be away from your family a lot. You have to work long hours, nights, days, spur of the moment, holidays. I have a lot of people that come in and apply when I'm interviewing them. They always say, it's no problem. It's no problem. I can work anytime. But a lot of times, once you hire me, and that's not the case. Nobody wants to work holidays, but that's we never close 24/7. When I came in December '99, the sheriff's department, I think, was built in '98. But I do recall my years in Tippah County, we had a jailer that lived there in the jail, and her husband was deceased, but it was, if I recall correctly, that's the way it was. They both lived there in the jail, and that's where dispatch was in the beginning, in the front office of the jail, and it was across the street from the sheriff's department then.
Very different.
Mhm.
Very different
Yes.
times. So, what does a day in your life at work look like? Like just kind of just a little walkthrough.
Well, I never know what I'm going into. I may know, if I know, I've already, my day may start. I'm supposed to be Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, but I have to do a lot of dispatching, which is 12-hour shifts, 6 to 6. Sometimes, no day is ever the same. I may think, oh, I'm gonna do this and get this done tomorrow, get this and this, and I have deadlines and things too, but sometimes I work over, or sometimes I have to come in early, but sometimes before I get up, I've gotten a call because we got a problem or something is going on. So some of that stuff that I had planned, I can't get that done today.
Tell me about what just the dispatcher part of
Okay.
the job. What is that? What would that day look like if that's all you did was just dispatch?
Okay, well, sometimes they have a lot of, they can have a lot of downtime sometimes. Then, it's just, you never know. You never know what the day's gonna bring. Sometimes we may have 3 or 4 medical or ambulance calls, and that's pretty low, but then there are days when that's all we have is medical calls. Last week when the weather got nice, it was real nice and stuff, everybody decided to do some burning. We had fire departments out, 5 or 6 different fire departments out at the same time.
So
So
every
you never
time,
know when you just don't know.
like, so every time there's anybody calls for a fire department, an ambulance, or police,
Yes, all of that.
that it comes through you
That's
or
right.
your office.
That's right. If they call 911. Now the police department has their own dispatch, so they get their own calls. But if it comes through 911, then my department gets that call. So we dispatch for the sheriff and his officers. We dispatch for the police department if we get the call, and then they take over after we give it out. We dispatch for New Albany Fire Department, which is fully staffed, and then we dispatch for 10 county volunteer fire departments, and then we also dispatch for the ambulance service, and then we also dispatch Union County EMRs.
The sheriff's department covers the whole county.
That's right.
Everything outside of the city limits.
Correct.
Which is a pretty large area, right?
Yes,
So that's a lot of territory.
it is. It is. It is. So a lot of times people don't understand that they call and they do have an emergency. Well, we dispatch them, and they may call back and say, I called you. They may say 10 minutes ago, but it may have only been 3 or 4 because they're hysterical, upset, whatever the case, and but we may have officers on one side of the county. They got to go all the way to the other side of the county, so.
Could take a while.
Yes, that's right. They have a span.
So how many people work as dispatchers?
We usually have 8 full-time, and right now we have 2 part-timers.
And these are all the people who answer the 911 calls.
Yes.
And so,
myself.
how are they trained? How are y'all trained for that?
Well, really, it takes a while, and of course everybody learns at a different pace, and it depends on how often they can get in there and train. And the more often, of course, the better. Like we have some that might train today and can't come back until 3 days from now. Well, that's not good because they will have forgotten what we have shown them. And I always tell them that in the beginning. The training is the most important thing. We got to get you in there as soon, as often as possible. Now, the prerequisites, though, you have to be at least 18 years of age, a valid driver's license, no criminal history, and I've had applicants, put in applications knowing they have a criminal history, but, that happens. They have, I always tell them, this is multitasking. You need to know, you got to have selective hearing. Selective hearing meaning that, you're going to have a phone we have headsets now. You're listening to a call in one ear, but you got to hear the radio in the other ear when the officer's talking to you, because we're the officer's lifeline. Out there, and they're out there in the field. They don't know what's going on, and we're sending them to these calls and stuff. So we got to always hear and know where our officer is. They have to, like I said, a lot of multitasking, selective hearing. They go to a class now. It's a 16-hour orientation class at Department of Public Safety's headquarters, which is in Canton now. But it's a 16-hour orientation class for dispatchers or telecommunicators. And they have to do a 40-hour basic course also. Then we usually send the dispatcher or the new hire to a close location that's hosting, another agency that might be hosting somewhere near. And those are the two main requirements. Once that's done, then we receive their state certificate back, and that's good for 3 years. And every 3 years we have to be recertified. So whatever date is on that state certificate, the very next day we can start working towards hours of recertification, which means with that we have to do at least 48 hours of electives in 6 different area subjects. But it has to be approved by standards and training.
Wow.
So they can get credit for it and stuff. And then with the NCIC machine that I was talking about earlier, I have 6 months to get the dispatcher trained, tested, and certified. And it used to be every 2 years they would get, we'd have to be retested on that. But now it's once a year, but that's in-house.
How many people are certified to run that?
Everybody.
Everybody
all
is?
of
Okay.
them have to be.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. When you were talking about your dad, kind of guiding you to try that, you mentioned something about re-election.
Because it's every 4 years that we have an election, and the sheriff, you hope your sheriff will run again and get reelected, but that's not given. So then you wonder if the next sheriff will if another sheriff is reelected, another sheriff is elected and yours is reelected, the one you were working for, then you don't know if you're going to have a job or not, because they can come in and they can bring their own people in.
Really? So they can just clean house.
Yes. It's not advisable unless they have somebody already trained, at least some of it, certified. Most of the time they keep most of them.
So you have seen people come through and clean people out?
Yes, I've seen a few leave with when the administration changes through the years. I know this is what I was, supposed to do. Now, how much longer I can do it is another thing. Like I said, I have 25 years in here, and this term just started in January, so I plan on doing this term, and then we'll just have to see. I don't know. I'm 25 years with the state, you can retire, but I'm not old enough to draw Social Security yet, so I don't want to have to go out and look for another job and need insurance and stuff. So I'll do this term, and then I'll just have to see. you know,
How many sheriffs have you been through?
4. I worked for 2 sheriffs in Tiffany County and 2 here. When I started in law enforcement, we had, like I said, the sheriff had never had a secretary, so we put it in his budget. That's how it started with me. They had a night shift dispatcher and a day shift dispatcher. I think they had maybe 3 dispatchers. They worked 8-hour shifts, if I remember right. And the sheriff had a chief deputy and 2 road deputies. And Highway, if I remember right, Highway 15 and Highway 4 kind of split up there in Tippah County. So the sheriff wanted 1 officer that lived in the northern part of the county and 1 in the southern part of the county. And then he would, the chief deputy was not only the chief deputy, he was the arson investigator, the criminal investigator, the TAC officer. It was all of that.
Wow, that's a small crew.
It was.
Wonder how many they have now.
I don't know, but I think he has a few now. You know.
How many people are employed by the sheriff's office now? Do you know?
Here, no, I don't. Let me think. I'd say probably, now this is including the jail too. I'd say probably we might have maybe 50 or so. I'd say somewhere around there. I might be wrong now. I don't know, because you know we get all kind of calls, disturbances, fires, attempted suicides. We've had some hostage situations and stuff. I was telling somebody the other week. We were talking, and I said, you know, when I started, I had been in Tiffany County. I started in January '89, and I don't know if it happened in January or February, but I know it was so cold, and we did not have 911 at that time, and we just had landline. And I answered the phone, and it was one of the aviation departments saying that a plane they had lost a plane on their radar, and they thought it had gone down in our county. And so I told my officers, I got on the radio and told them stuff, and everybody started heading that way, and my phone was ringing off the hook. I had aviation departments from everywhere, not just Memphis, Tupelo, probably I'm sure Columbus, maybe Grenada, Florida. They were just people flying in from everywhere. Now that was something, you know, and I'd only been there a few weeks, you know. And if I remember right, they had it was just a 2-seater or a couple that, you know, was gonna leave a local airport going somewhere else, and then they couldn't. The visibility was bad, and they told them not to. They suggested not to, but they decided to go on and do it. Something like that. And
Did they find the plane?
oh yeah.
It had crashed in the county.
Yes. And it looks like they might have been trying to land near our local airport there in Tippah County, and they didn't get that close to it. You know, didn't get to land there.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think that was my first tragedy. So we've had, you know, like I said, you know, when we answer the phone, we don't know what's on the other end. Never know.
You're so calm, though. Maybe that's what that girl saw in you.
I don't know. Well, you know, you wanna, you know, you have to be calm, because the person that's calling you is hysterical and needs some help, and you know that's what we're there for, to get them what they need, the help that they need, and you know it's all about timing too, and get it to them as soon as possible. So you know you try to keep them calm, and that's not always the case. A lot of times you can't get anything out of them. You know, you're just searching for information. You know, we have disturbance calls all the time. The you know, the disturbance, we try to stay on the line with them because the disturbance may just be verbal, but we're sending our officer to this location, and we don't know, at that time, weapons aren't involved, but it could escalate, and before they get there, there could be weapons, you know, so we're all about, and we have to take care of our officers. Officer safety is, you know, utmost importance.
I've never thought about that as being a part of your job. You know, I've never thought about it because you're the eyes and ears.
Yes, like I said, we're a
of what they're
lifeline for
walking
them.
into.
We have situations where, like I said, attempted suicide or some type of medical situation where we have, you know, we're dispatching the ambulance, but we need to send an officer out there too. Officer needs to get on the scene first and clear the scene before we can allow or tell the ambulance to go in and see about the patient. I know this is what I was supposed to do. I left one time, and I went to and I dispatched during the day for like gas and water, and I liked it a lot. And then they moved me to a courthouse, and I worked there for maybe a year, but it was in the addressing and the business part of it. And when I realized that, I thought, this is taking me away from what I'm used to. You know, I like being able to help somebody that's in need. You know, I want to be able to serve and give. You know, and it's not taking anything away from the addressing or the business part of 911. It's just when I had been in this field for so many years, you know, I had 2 officers when I went back down to the sheriff's department and resumed my responsibilities and my title position. They said, Tiff, we knew you would be back. This is where you're supposed to be. We knew. You know, so I appreciate that.